Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? Sammy, United People's TV. It's Thursday. It's the international break. There's no football this weekend. I can't ruin your weekend. What are you going to get up to? Let me know in the chat. We're going to run through all the latest United news as we do every single morning. We're going to speak about the women's team last night. A cracking win against PSG at Old Trafford. The first women's European game at Old Trafford. And they beat PSG. Well, that's not a bad start. I think I'm going to turn my mic up a little bit. Ooh, there you go. I don't know why my mic does that sometimes. Just turns itself up and down. Maybe it's got like a manual default setting that it goes to when I turn the computer off. I got no idea. We'll also speak about what we got up here. Just a little bit of conversation around Elliot Anderson, around Angelo Stiller. Nothing massively new, but just kind of continuing the conversation that we've already had. A little bit on Cobby, a little bit on Xerxes, a bit on Harry and Mass, a little bit on Ligt too. I think I'm going to enjoy having a conversation about Ligt. You can let me know what else you want to talk about. Get involved in the chat. Fire any questions. Let's have a look. Good morning to Josh. We've got Steph. We've got JC. Alex as well. And Gungshi. Plenty of mods out here. Hope you're all doing fantastic. Fantastic. John. We've got Eyeball Fizzay. We've got Teresa. Liam Griffiths. We've got Finn. We've got Saeed. We've got Ranks Alamin. Some new names. Natasha. You're not new. Aloysius. We've got Richard, Pat Martin, and Matt. Aiden is saying, class top, where'd you get it from? Can't actually remember. The top I really want to get. I want to get that one that Ruben's always wearing now. No, the grey one. It's got like the yellow. I like that. Might have to get it. I got way too many tops. I really do. Good morning to you, Gungshi, man. Good morning to you. Good morning to Alex as well. Hope you're all doing sound. And Gungshi, you're just a ledge. You know that. Big up to you. I can't really say anything more about you, Gungshi. Really can't. Beyond words, I think, at this point. Schwab saying, why spend 100 mil on a midfielder when we got Jess Park? And I'll tell you what, I watched the last 35 minutes last night of the game. Turned on actually just after United's second goal. Mate, those goals were class. Mary Earps coming back to Old Trafford, getting some boos, getting some selfies on the losing team. We'll take that. They're having a cracking season so far. If I remember correctly, I saw there was a lot of noise around Mark Skinner. Anybody down here in the chat who watches the women's team more than I do, I thought there was a lot of anger towards Mark Skinner last season, and I think he then got a contract extension. Well, have things just turned around this season? Have things just been built on this season compared to last season? Yeah, PSG did score a worldie as well. Good goals. Good game forward. I actually really quite like the Women's Champions League logo. It's pretty good. The ladies are undefeated in the Champions League. That's 3 from 3, but they lost to Villa at the weekend, didn't they? Anyway, congratulations to them. They're on a cracking season. Let's roll up the sleeves. Let's get on with the rest of the show. As I said to you earlier this week, I'm looking forward to being able to expand the women's coverage that we do here on United People's TV when I'm able to bring the right people in. Just not quite there yet. Did anybody see this yesterday? This from the Telegraph. Let me run through what it is. United to ban staff from posting behind-the-scenes content on social media. Crackdown launched to stop unapproved self-promotional material from within the club being shared online. United launching a social media crackdown on staff to stop them, as I said, posting self-promotional material. United want greater control over what appears on social media amid concerns about unapproved digital content from within the club being posted online. Now, I think you can look at that one of two, in a couple of ways, really. I think it's reflective of a club which this season, maybe not just this season, but I've already explained about the things that we were hoping to do with the club, the opportunities that aren't there right now because the club is sort of closing its doors a little bit. And I actually think it's a good thing for the club. Sort of make Carrington a real safe environment and a safe haven, I suppose, for the players that outside influence can't really affect. As for the whole club, it kind of feels like it's just part of the reset. I don't know what way to describe it. There's going to, for example, I don't know if there's anybody who works for United who watches United People's TV who's in the chat, but I imagine there's going to be some people that are proud of the work they do, and they'd love to be able to share it and shout about it. Mamu, you're saying better keep things under wraps, no more leaks. I don't think it's just about the leaks. United have always been extremely protective of the United brand. I suppose this is their way of trying to maintain a level of control around it. I don't think this is something that will last forever. But it might just be something that's happening at this current point in time. Someone down there saying, reckon this is coming off the back of the Cunha video. I really like that Cunha video. Did you see it? It was like a day in the life of Cunha. And it was him just like bopping around Carrington. Cunha, considering he's been at the club for what, a few months, the way that he carries himself, the way that he struts around Carrington, you'd think he'd been there for a few years. But that's kind of the personality that he is. Like, the sort of people that walk into the room and they're not just the loudest in the room, just by volume, but their personality also is the loudest. I don't actually think this is a bad thing for where we currently are as a club. I think in the future that sort of gets softened and loosened, but that would be a time when things are a bit better for United. And therefore, posting stuff behind the scenes and having those conversations and opening the doors is a good thing. Linton, if you missed that Cunha video, where is it? I think United put it up on their main channel as well, but it was on the Premier League. Go and watch it. It was class. Yeah, I don't actually think it's a bad thing for now. Now, something else that's happened. I'm sure you've seen it. I haven't actually been able to watch it yet. Ollie's back on the overlap. The first repeat guest. Always gets pointed at, oh, you know what the overlap needs? The overlap kind of needs probably a United player who played under Fergie so they can sit there and reminisce about how things were back in the day. But all jokes aside, who do you think would... Question here, for United People's TV, right? What former United manager would you love there to be an interview with on United People's TV more than any of them? Would it be Jose? Would it be Solskjaer? I tell you who I really would like to speak to is Rangnick. I don't know whether that would be boring or not. But I feel like it would be quite telling to speak with Rangnick. I think you probably learn more from Rangnick that might have relevance to today. Who'd be the most interesting? You're not allowed to say Fergie. Fergie's cheating. We're talking post-Fergie. Toby is saying Jose and Rangnick. Van Gaal. Mate, I'd love to go out for a drink with Van Gaal. I'd love to get drunk with Van Gaal more than anyone. Man, that would just be fun. No, I don't think I want to speak to Ten Hag right now. I don't imagine you get much out of him either. I would probably choose Rangnick, then Ollie, then Mourinho. I think I'll go for those three. Just in terms of the interest of their responses, I think you get more out of Rangnick, as I said, that's relevant to now. Mourinho, of course, would be fiery as hell. And Solskjaer would probably be quite truthful, but quite reserved. Don't think he'd actually go into too many details. Anyway, I'm going to watch the full pod later. Don't have had time to watch it for this. Alex is saying you'd like to hear Ten Hag. I don't know whether Ten Hag would be able to say anything. Or would say much. Yeah, should we get Guido Schaefer back on? Man, Guido. Speaking about going to get drunk with someone. That would have been fun. What random link up. I can't even remember how I found Guido. I think it was when Rangnick was coming in. I was doing all the research. We were doing the videos on him. I think that's when we first started doing the proper deep dives into managers. I swear that Ragnick was the first one. That's when I produced the whole thing myself. Man, it took ages. And then I think it was because I was researching and found out that Guido Schaefer covered Red Bull. And I think he wrote for a local newspaper and I just slid into his DMs. And that's how I found him. Random. Yeah, I know Ragnick was into him, but it's just a random question. Anyway, if you want to watch it, Ollie's back on the overlap. Probably be a good show. Probably be a good watch. So I'm going to watch it later. Happy birthday to Lenny Oro. Feels like he's been around for a while already. Suppose a year and a half is a while. Well, just under. Just turned 20. Not a teenager anymore. He's old. Sell him. Bring someone else new in. All jokes aside, I think Lenny has developed quite a lot since he arrived at Manchester United, and I think he'll only continue that development. I don't think he's got... I don't actually know off the top of my head who starts for... Is it... Gab? I think we had this conversation before as well. Is it Saliba and Kanate starting for France? Is Kanate French? Don't know. Might have made that one up. Either way, I don't think he's going to be in the starting 11 for the World Cup squad, but I think he'll be in for the Euros and he'll just continue developing. I'm enjoying watching Lenny. And even in a season, let's be honest, in a season where he's sometimes been left out the starting 11, we had a conversation about that earlier this week. Some of you feel like it's just Ruben Amorim protecting him. I think it's more tactical. There's certain games where he wants a different style of defence, and that's why Yoro's been on the bench a couple of times. Mancano, I forgot about him as well. Natasha's saying, very good player. I like him. He's on the right track. I just hope we continue our own development as a club so that we can match the ambitions that he's going to have in probably... If we're not good enough in like a year or two, it's going to be some bad conversations about Lenny Yoro. Not bad on his part, but bad for the fact that we won't be able to match where he wants to go at that point. Alex saying, hope his workload is managed with France. He's with the under-21s, isn't he? I think he'll be fine. Now, can we move? I'm only going to cover this briefly, right? If I wanted to, I probably could do a lunchtime video on this. But I'm not sure I can be asked. Like, full disclosure, I'm not sure I can be asked. It's just reflective of what Sky Sports is now. And we are talking like about a fallen giant. And it's kind of awkward. Really is kind of awkward. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank just going absolutely in on Ruben Amorim. What is he improved? Absolutely nothing is improved at any point. He goes, right, okay. Thanks, mate. As I said, I think it's more... I feel a little bit of pity. Genuinely, I feel a bit of pity because I think Sky Sports used to be the kings of sports media, right? They were dominant. That's where everybody looked towards. But with the emergence of better independent media, their bullshit doesn't carry as far. There are so many alternatives to them. Previously, there weren't alternatives. So they could kind of get away with what they wanted to and kind of say what they wanted to. They can't anymore. And I tell you what, this just cracked me up, right? Those fans, they look like they're on bloody jury duty. You know what they've done there? I guarantee that they hate the overlap. Because obviously, I think when it started, was the overlap in association with Sky? Or was it always just with Sky Bet separately? Can't actually remember that. But that's like a Poundland version of the overlap. Legitimately looks like jury duty. Everyone's just sitting there, just looking at Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank going, hi, right, okay. Varun, he's saying like, who are the new king? Like, who are the new kings of sports media? I honestly don't think there is one. And I think that's part of what's making it good. I don't think there is, like, you could argue about the overlap having, there's certain voices and certain shows, I suppose, that carry more weight and their voice goes further. But I don't think there's like one outstanding dominant force now in the way that there was before. I think there's a lot more variety. And I think that's helped the quality. I think slowly but surely, and this is something I've been pushing for in all the content that I do myself. You know that quality over quantity is my preference. And in the football content landscape, it's not always that rises to the top. But I think the ability for anybody to now create something where the camera's decent quality, the streaming's actually good quality, the accessibility to make content has allowed more people to do it. And therefore, crap like this just kind of stands out for the wrong reason now. Whereas before, they didn't really have any competition. So you either watch it if you love sports, or there was nothing else to watch. So yeah, genuinely, it's a bit of pity. Like, Sky Sports has absolutely gone down the can. Down the can. Down the can? Doesn't make any sense. The crap. Taylor saying, Amram said he adjusted his tactics to get the best out of Casemiro. Do you think it can do the same for Kobe? This AFCON is going to be big for Kobe. That's a fair enough question. I don't think there's any tactical tweak that's required for Kobe. It's simply playing where Bruno is, if I'm being completely honest. And I think you're talking about tactical tweaks to get the best out of Casemiro. I think Casemiro himself is playing better. Casemiro is staying a little bit more central. You're not really seeing... to be fair, Casemiro's running forward and... to be fair, he actually is attacking quite a lot. But I'm not seeing Casemiro get exposed with the ball in behind and he's chasing space as much as I used to. Bring back Grandstand. Is that Grandstand? Anyway, back to jury duty. It's Judge Judy. Someone there talking about TalkSport. Jeez. Anti-fans go straight to social media and look for journalists with good sources. Yeah. The majority of news still breaks on Twitter now. I'm still calling it Twitter. Got my bloody personal account blocked yesterday. Got it unlocked though. It was an accident. I didn't actually do anything wrong, to be honest. Mr. Smith saying Premier League on Netflix in a few years, I reckon. Not week in, week out, where they'll test it. If I was to guess where, I think it's already happening with the, was that Question of Sport? Damn it. What was Grandstand? No, that's Match of the Day. I was about to start singing Match of the Day there. Damn it. I used to love Grandstand. Is that Des Lynam? Showing the age here. Yeah, everyone still calls it Twitter. I was about to say something there. Oh, don't know. Waffle on. Let's move on to the news. Let's speak about Ligt. There was a comment that Ruben Amram said after the game against Spurs, which I picked out. And it was this one. When he was speaking about Ligt, said that he's doing really well, really aggressive. I think he has more quality with the ball than he is showing. He's still not wanting to make mistakes. Smart. But when we reach a very good point, our three centre-backs will control the tempo and the quality of the game. So I did sing Grandstand before. Josh, screw you. That bit there about him not wanting to make mistakes. I picked up on it, and I've said multiple times that I've felt that's a bit of a blocker for United, and a bit of a blocker for United players. For a long time, it's felt that there's so many of those players that don't want to be the one to make the mistake, that don't want to be the one that might balls it up and create an opportunity for the opposition to lose possession. It's much easier. It's much safer for me, personally, if I just pass it to someone else. Go sideways. You take responsibility. Now, Bruno's got a lot of scorn because, let's be honest, he never shies away from taking responsibility. Too much sometimes. Gets overzealous. Tries stuff when he doesn't need to try stuff. When the simpler option is probably the better option. But it's because he's the one that takes the risks. And it's why he's created so many chances and more chances than any player in any top 5 league over the last 5 years or whatever it is. That's why Bruno is the chief chance creator, because he's a risk taker. Just Bruno needs to understand to not take those risks towards the edge of your own box. But De Ligt, out on international duty with Holland, or Netherlands, said this: I'm 26 now, and I think I'm entering the best years of my career, both physically and mentally, which we already know he said that. And he said, I've changed my mindset. Initially, I didn't want to make mistakes. Now, I want to do as many good things as possible. Now, it's absolutely no coincidence that he's saying that after Ruben Amorim has said that. I don't think so anyway. It may well just be, I wouldn't say a direct response to it, but De Ligt's probably seen it about, heard it, or it just really is where his mindset is, which is exactly what Ruben is speaking about. And this is a mindset and a mindset switch that has to infect through the whole squad. The confidence to be able to try something that might not work out. That thing there, that is a blocker that so many of these United players still have. Not taking that shot on because it might not go in, and people might laugh at you. People might have a go at you for not doing it. Not taking that pass on because it's a little bit tough. You might lose possession. Now you have to calculate your risks by not doing it towards the edge of your own box, understanding the surroundings, the timing of the game, of course. But it's about taking those risks, man. And as I said, I think it's no coincidence that De Ligt is saying that a few days after Ruben Amorim has said, look, he's not wanting to make mistakes. And he goes, well, hold up here. I didn't want to make mistakes before. Now, my mindset's switched. And we need our centre-backs to do that. Probably a big reason why so many of us want Martinez back in the team. Nobody does those vertical passes. Shaw did one against Spurs, which really stood out. I think it was De Ligt passed to Shaw. Then Shaw had Dorgu out on the left-hand side. He was really stuck on the byline, and I think he might have had Pedro Porro right next to him, so it wasn't really an option. But instead of going there, Shaw went straight through the middle to Cunha, who was in space, who touched it straight back to Bruno, and then we carried on 15 yards up the pitch, and it was just that vertical pass through to the number 10 instead of wide to the wing-back. It's a riskier pass. If you mess that pass up, you're probably going to pass it straight to Spurs, and it's going to be like a 3-on-3 or a 4-on-4. But if you pass it through, you break the line. You take United forward. It's risky, but there's a reward. It's good to hear that from De Ligt, and it's something that if we talk about mindset issues at United, this is a big one. Always has been a big one. United players should not be afraid to make mistakes. And I think that's partly because you're living in a social media world. Because every mistake has 400 lenses on it these days. I suppose they did before. But mistakes last longer. Mistakes have more receipts now than they did before. And that's just the changing society of football and football fandom. Online and offline. More online, I suppose. Someone down there saying Lenny Yoro's doing it more. More confident since he got dropped. He doesn't seem to progress the ball or drives into midfield. I think he does a little bit, but he's been in and out of the team, I suppose. De Ligt's by far and away our best defender right now. Who would you, like, randomly, top 3? Who would you say United's best defenders right now? In order. De Ligt's your out-and-out number 1. Probably going to go Luke Shaw, number 2. And I'm guessing you go Maguire, number 3. Who else could get in there? Dorgu's been up and down this season. Actually had probably his best league game against Spurs. And Delo, I'm not involved in this. And Ahmad is... Are you including Ahmad in this conversation? I mean, technically he's a right wing back. He's playing there a lot. I think I would go De Ligt, Shaw, Maguire and Yoro. I think so. Someone down there saying Yoro's not been dropped. It's down to tactical switches. That's what I mean. I think that's personally what I think it is. Aiden Heaven, he's hardly played. Let's be honest. Lamons? Nah, you can't include him in it. And I don't even know whether you can include Ahmed in it. If you do, you probably do include Ahmed in it. Either way, Licht's been out and out our best. And yeah, I hope that is something that he can get across to these players. And maybe it is just an age thing. Not wanting to make mistakes because you don't want to deal with the smoke. You don't want the heat. You don't want the heat on you. You don't want a scrutiny. You do it. Either way, I hope that is something that Ligt can get across to the other players to help them to understand. Yeah, it's all right to make mistakes, man. You need to make mistakes in life. Make the same mistake twice, yeah, man, you're being a bit stupid. Make the same mistake 3 times, right, you're being an idiot now. Make the same mistake 4 times, you're getting a slap. Make the same mistake 5 times, you're getting people's elbow. But you make mistakes to learn from them. Anyway, let's move forward. Elliot and, oh yeah, the pod up there. So we took a break from the pod for this week. Simply just, it's the international break. I don't think there really would have been too much that we could have spoken to you about that you haven't already heard. So we'll give it one little 1 week break and then we'll be back for the next episode. We'll be going out a week today, next Thursday. PT saying, Sam, your comment about United players not taking risks. This is something the women's team do. They have confidence in their own ability. Yeah, it's a little bit of both. It's not just about having a confidence in your own ability. It's having a fear of the consequence if you balls it up. It's thinking about the consequences before you've taken the action. Rather than just in that moment, you know that's the right thing to do from a footballing perspective because it might create an opportunity. You think, part of your brain immediately thinks, well, you don't actually think that in real time, but you're sort of naturally positioned to be mindful about not being the one that balls us up because you don't want to deal with that. Neil saying Delo isn't afraid to make mistakes. He spends every game making them. Quite the opposite then. Mate, it's such a shame that Delo isn't more of a technically sound player. Because I think from a professional perspective, I think he's actually quite a good example for a lot of those players. In terms of how he trains, he's a physical athlete. I think, was it the Telegraph was reporting that Šeško spends a lot of time, he's always like earliest to training, stays there longer after in massage and ice baths, etc. And Delo's there with him as well. I think he's actually sets a good professional example. He's just technically not good enough for what United need. Let him play in Serie A for like AC Milan again. I guarantee you he's a very good player for a few years. I'm telling you, Delo is worth like 30, 40 mil. I think that's I think he could be sold this summer and for that price. And I think he'd go on to be a good player elsewhere. Just don't think he's technically good enough for United. That's just my own opinion on him. There's no update on Šeško at this moment in time. The last that there's actually not been anything official from the club. I suppose the club doesn't actually need to say anything officially, does it? The club has spoken to the Slovenian FA. They've given them the medical examinations and they've given them the timeline and they've agreed. All right, fair enough. Well, he doesn't need to join up with internet. We don't need to. Is there any random? I don't know if this is a random question. Is there any sort of obligation for any club to give details on injuries at any point? Other than obviously the fans want to know and it's about updating the fans. But are there any sort of obligations for United to tell anybody how good or bad Šeško's injuries is? So it might be bad enough to rule him out from the international break, but maybe he's completely fit for Everton. I don't know. Just random. Hydro saying no news is good news. Or no news is, again, just United kind of closing the doors. United just keeping it in-house. I don't know. Just, I suppose, yeah, you would get an obligation to the national team, which is why the Slovenian FA know about it. Yeah, just a random thought. Tom saying we should sign Elliot Anderson and Baleba and make Bruno a rotational player. I mean, Ruben Amorim has already said, a warning is the wrong way to describe it. But he said that Bruno has to prepare himself. If he's here next year, he could well be part of the rotation. Which, at the same time, also tells you that right now, he's not part of the rotation, which is kind of part of the Manu problem. Šeško injury was a knee injury, but we don't know what type of knee injury. Was it a stretch of... Was it an overstretch of the knee? Was it the front of the knee, the back of the knee? No idea. Was it just a tweak? No clue. It didn't look like an impact injury, though. It was something that happened when he was running in stride. Elliot Anderson. Now, this is... Moving on to Elliot Anderson. This has come from Ben Jacobs on TalkSport. I know. Only reason I'm mentioning this is because it's the second time that Ben Jacobs has really reiterated that Elliot Anderson, he ain't going for 100, 120 mil. Does he know anything that no one else does? Yeah, it's unlikely. Unless the likes of Fabrizio or Ornstein aren't comfortable reporting on it. I don't quite know. But he really has reiterated that more than once. Like the 100 and 120 mil price tag for Elliot Anderson, that's not what it's going to be. Nowhere near that. I don't... I might formalize it into a lunchtime video. Just my honest opinion on the January window and what my actual expectations are for signing a midfielder. In a dream world, you go out there and you sign the midfielder that you want. Right now, it's very much looking like Elliot Anderson. Yeah, Mikey, like, it could be that. It could well be an NDA release clause. And I've said this so many times before. It's so stupid. The idea of that. Like an NDA release clause. What is the point in a release clause if nobody can know about it? It's like having $1 million in the bank and you're not allowed to spend it. There's no point having a release clause if no one else... And maybe it's part of what Forest do with their contracts, because it happened with Morgan Gibbs-White and nobody knew about it. So I suppose there's a little bit of precedence in that sense. Then Spurs found out about it, paid it, and then got sued by Spurs because they tried to use a release clause that's in his contract that nobody should know about. And then he ended up signing a new contract. I don't know. Robbie's saying, what's the most you pay for Anderson? It feels like 70 to 80 mil would be a fair reflection for a player of his age, with the career he's got ahead of him, the status he currently has, and the fact that Forest paid 45. 70 to 80, I think, would be fair in that. Ask me that after the World Cup, you might get an Enzo Fernandez style 15, 20 mil slapped on top, which is exactly why Forest won't sell in January. They'd be absolutely nuts to. I don't really think he needs to, because he's already forced his way into the England squad in the Forest team, so it's not as if he needs a bigger stage. It's the same in auctioning. Often there's a reserve that is unwritten on high-value items. Maybe. Either way, let's see if Ben Jacobs is right. Alex is saying, surely his agent knows about it. If he can't exercise it, who can? I don't know. Someone find. I need to read up more about the Morgan Gibbs-White one. The Angelo Stiller conversation is still going on in the background. So, hopefully next week, we'll have our next profile ready. And we'll do Angelo Stiller this time. So we've done the 3 from the Prem. Elliot Anderson, Carlos Baleba, and Adam Wharton. Having out this week. Now we're going to take a look at Angelo Stiller. And then past that, I'll be asking all of you guys and girls who you want us to cover next. I'd like to do a video on Ayoub Bouadi from Lille. Is he a player who is almost like the Lenny Yoro of midfield in terms of the age that he is, the fact that everyone's going to want? I'm not saying that he's, to be fair, he's a highly, highly rated player. So I'd like to know a little bit more about that. But yeah, next week, we'll be doing it on Stiller. Again, Ben Jacobs saying he's high on the list. Don't know whether that's coming from Chris Ravel. I have no idea. But certainly there's more noise around. I covered the João Gomez stories yesterday. Sort of compared him and statistically, how has he been playing this season compared to the likes of Anderson, Baleba and Wharton, and just had a little conversation about him. It still strikes me as, it really does still strike me that United might be trying to take advantage of the fact that Wolves might go down in a Liam Delap sort of scenario. Alex Scott, again, I said that in the video yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised to see Alex Scott rumours start probably in the build-up to the January transfer window. It feels like we're getting, and it's a correct thing because it's our strategy. We're getting linked to the best talent in the Premier League in midfield. Wharton, Baleba, Anderson, now João Gomez maybe is an opportunity, and potentially Alex Scott. And there might be a couple of others as well. Moving on. I still haven't seen anything really concrete on Xerxes. Right? This come from Matty Moretto, who I believe works with Fabrizio Romano now, sort of talking about Xerxes leaving on loan, and it sounds like, I mean, his wages can't be that much. Are there any Dutch fans in the comments? Does Xerxes have any chance of getting into that Dutch squad? Like, I know that Ligt was frozen out, but Koeman couldn't ignore him any longer, and he's back in the squad. Weghorst, did he get sent home from I don't know what. I saw a headline, and it was from Lab Bible. So I think exactly. So I don't know how far he might have just been ill. I don't know. But has Xerxes got any chance of being in that Dutch squad? Who is it? Who even is the Dutch? Is it Memphis Depay? Isn't he the leading goal scorer now for Holland? I think he is. I just don't really see. I just don't really see how Xerxes gets into that squad. I might be wrong. We did speak about the women's team at the start of the show. If you missed it, go back. You can watch that bit. Stevie's saying if we go for anyone, it'll be one that's done it for a couple of seasons. What are we talking about there? Midfielders. AFCON is his chance to get minutes. Honestly, I think right now is a bigger and better chance for Xerxes to get minutes for Manchester United than AFCON. With Šeško being out. If you're not going to get minutes, when quite literally our only striker in the squad is probably going to miss a couple of games, then why would you have any more chance of getting minutes when AFCON is on, when Mbeumo, Ahmad and Mazraoui are missing? You could argue it's because Xerxes plays in one of the number 10 positions. Maybe not. But I'm sorry, but if Xerxes doesn't get any minutes now, and Šeško's going to miss a couple of games, then he won't get any minutes in January. I see him leaving on loan. Feel sorry for him, but it's just that the squad's taken a slightly different direction since we've signed him. And it took him about a year. It took him the majority of the year to really settle into the football pace of United, of the Premier League. He slimmed down. He got a lot more agile. And he looked much, much better in pre-season. But then we signed Cunha and Mbeumo. So, unlucky for him. It really is unlucky, actually. Can't be bothered to speak about you. So I'm going to skip those two. Lyle saying Xerxes was involved with the Dutch squad. I think he could be brought in as a squad player. Alex, you want to see Xerxes as 9, Cunha and Mbeumo running off him? Maybe. I don't know. Something separate. So Harry Amass originally joined Sheffield Wednesday on a 4-month loan. But it looks like he's going to be staying past January. And I think today's video, I'm going to do like a what's happening or what's happened with Harry Amass so far this season. Now that we're getting confirmation that he's going to be staying beyond January, I think it's going to be good to look at how the loan spell has gone so far. And it's gone good. And I'll tell you what, full disclosure, I've said it multiple times. I was like, Sheffield Wednesday? Really want to be sending him to a club that, hasn't actually paid its players a couple of times, is on the verge of administration. What even happened with that? Again, I'll probably look into this in the what's happening. Because I swear that they were getting winding up order and going for administration. Don't need to look at that. That loan's gone really well. And I'll tell you a lot more detail about it in today's lunchtime video. But it's good to see. Harry Mass is definitely that. Even if you have, for a loan spell to go well, the team doesn't have to do well. The team just has to play the player. And that's what I mean when it's going well. When I think he's played 90 minutes in the last 10 consecutive games. And he's just scored his first goal. So in terms of getting minutes and developing as a player, that's what Harry Mass is doing this season, for sure. And in a very tough environment, in the Championship, a club that's going through administration, that's probably just got a points deduction, you're saying down there. And that's the environment you're playing in. Mentally, that's going to make you a lot tougher as an individual. And playing in the Championship will make him tougher. And that's the side of the game that Amas needs to develop the most, the physical side. No questions about his technical side and going forward. I'll cover that in the lunchtime video. And probably we'll have a separate video for Ligt Vitek, goalkeeper who's on loan at Bristol City. I would just prefer to do these videos separately. I've always found that if you do videos like that and you make them like a general one, including everybody, first of all, you can't cover in as much detail. And second, people don't seem to enjoy them as much. So I think I'd rather just focus on Harry Mass for this one and keep the Ligt Vitek conversation for a separate video. Ronald, you're saying I think it's all about individual performances. That's a little bit on individual performance, a little bit on team performance, but character building. There you go, John. It's a good way to describe it. You can make a crap situation turn into a positive for you on loan as a player if it really does help you develop. I suppose, random thing here to think about. Like, if you're, and this is going to be different because Harry Mass came from Watford's academy, so he's already experienced other clubs. But there are players who come through United's academy, and all they know is United. They come through the first team, gigs and goals and all that. They're kind of separate. They're anomalies. But I reckon there's quite a few United younger players who take United for granted in terms of the size and the scale and everything that we've got. And that leaving on loan helps you appreciate and understand that. And then you come back. I'm not saying you come back grateful, like, I'm so grateful. But it helps you understand what is on the other side. And then you realise what you've got at United. So you kind of make more of the opportunities that you have. I think awareness is one of the most important things you can have in life, man. Awareness and, being grateful. And I think being in a good loan helps you gain perspective on both of those two things. So big up to Johnny Evans. Loan spell's going good for him. Loan spell's going good for Ligt Vitek. Toby Collier's just come back from injury for West Brom. Ethan Williams is at Falkirk doing quite well. There's a couple more. Can't remember off the top of my head. Big Maminski saying that as a Watford fan, losing Harry was hard, but we knew a big club would come in for him. And I guarantee you there's Sheffield Wednesday fans that are waxing lyrical about Harry Mass right now. They're convinced that he's going to play for England. And I think that's a good reflection of how well he's done so far. Right, let's move on. Last couple of bits for today's show. Could Senny make his Belgian? I really hope he does. I think it's probably going to be Matt Seltz because Thibaut Courtois made his injury. He's injured. Ethan Ennis. Jack Morehouse went on loan to Leyton Orient. That's a random one I just remembered. I thought that was a good loan spell. I wonder how he's been getting on. Finn, you're talking about going deeper into the youth team? What, in terms of research you do, in terms of how much you watch them? There hasn't been... This is quite bad. This is kind of reflective of the cuts that have been going on at United. I don't think there's been an under-18s game on MUTV since, September. Bad, isn't it? Really is bad. I think everybody would want to watch those. What's Sandy? Hi, Sandy. Do you think Chida will be pushing to the starting 11 given that Šeško is injured? I've seen a lot more. I don't know whether this is reflective of the status of everybody, but I've seen a lot more of Like even Jim Thwaites, Shea Lacey, quite a few other players training with the first team more than Cheeto. Gabriel Bianchetti has just been nominated for Premier League 2 Player of the Month because he's nailing it with goals. I'd be interested to know what's going to happen with that lad. I think a loan spell is necessary. I don't know what's going on with Cheeto. Again, I did a little bit of an update video. I think he's just developing with the under-21s. Travis Binion's been speaking about him. Derek, you're asking what's the status of Heaven? Last I saw him was against Brighton when he came off the bench, got the assist and played well. Haven't really heard much since. Now, let's finish on this note, right? You'll remember the start of the season. Manchester United had the toughest opening 5 fixtures. And it was tough. And we had a tough start to the season. I think we've come through it. Now that you can look back on him, at the time, in the short term, it was a very, very up and down start to the season. But look at these fixtures now. On paper, according to the position that club is currently in, United have got the easiest next 5 fixtures. So that's Everton, Crystal Palace, I think, West Ham, Wolves. Is that Bournemouth? Might be Bournemouth. Can't actually remember. What you're looking at is a bloody opportunity here. Like, you know, we talk about momentum this and momentum that. Can we win 2 games in a row? Can we do this? This exact situation is where United have always managed to fall and fail. Man United have been better for a significant amount of time at being the underdog, at not being the team that is expected to win. When those expectations come on United, that's when United find it tougher to play. Kind of reflecting back to what the Ligt said about, you know, previously I was too scared to make mistakes. It's expectation that creates that mindset. And United are going to be expected to do very well here. I'm not saying that United are going to get 15 from 15. Maybe they will. I mean, that'd be class. But, I mean, they won't. Crystal Palace away is in that, which is a hella hard game. When was the last time? I don't remember the last time we comfortably won at Crystal Palace. Even when we won at Crystal Palace, whether it was Zlatan's late winner or Matic's late winner, we were 2-0 down in that game. And then the Zlatan one, that was a tough game too. It is a hard place to go. We'll see. But on paper, United have got the easiest 5 games compared to United having the hardest 5 games in the opening start of the season. So this is what I mean about an opportunity. Let's see if we can take it. Right. I'll probably wrap up for today. Last minute of the show. Are there any questions you want to ask? Things that I haven't spoken about enough. As I said at the start of the show, I want to say a big congratulations to the women's team. I think it's a real achievement. 3 wins out of 3 in the Champions League. First European game at Old Trafford for the women's team. Only lost 1 in the league. They're having a cracking season so far. So fair play to them. Someone down there saying 11 from 15 would be amazing. 10 points is realistic. Yeah, John, there is no easy game in the Premier League anymore. Everyone knows that. You can go here and say that statistically United are playing the easiest of games, but also we're playing 20th, which currently is now Rob Edwards' Wolves, and it's a new manager. So Wolves might be a very different. I don't know why he took that job, I'll be honest. I think that's a sinking ship. I think he's going to regret that. But their second home game is going to be against United. We'll find out. There is no easy game in the Premier League anymore. Teams are in the Premier League for a reason. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. As always, please do drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. And yeah, I think the lunchtime video is going to be on Harry Mass today. So check that out if you so wish. Take it easy.